started. Very important topic. Types of data members. Come in. So in classes concept, types of data members in class. Two types of data members, instance data members, class level data members. So we understood the importance of class level data members and instance data members. So there students, how we accessed it and all those things we did. So let me open it, the PyCharm here. So let me close. So there I'll go for 7 a.m. Whoops. So this is what we have done in the last session. Class level data members, instance data members I added. We read the data from the keyboard and we added and we printed that instance data members accessed with respect to object name and class level data members accessed with respect to class name. This we did in the last part of the class. Now today we are talking about more important here. Very, very important discussion we are going to deal with. So that are types of methods. Types of methods. Types of methods in a class. Types of methods in a class. We are going to discuss here. Easy students. So there are three types of methods are there. I'll first name it. In a class of Python, we can define three types of data members. They are, number one, we'll talk about it, instance methods. Second, we talk about class level method. And the third one, we call it as a static method. Important students. So let us talk about what is instance method, what is class level method. They're very easy. Let us try to understand fast. So here we discuss about both the methods now, students. So number one, instance method. Number two, class level methods. Number three, static methods. So we discuss what is the use of these methods. See students, instance methods. You already know object. Object contains what data? Object contains which data? Object contains which data? Online students. Object contains which data? So somebody saying in the girls. So listen, you people are not reading the notes. Instance data members, memory space created every time when we create an object. And instance data members are also called object level data members. So I said, my notes is everything for you. Object contains instance data members. Notes is very important for everything. So my object is containing S1 is an object. Which contains, this is an object which contains number is equal to 10, name is equal to something like, RS. For example, M1 is equal to M1 colon 40, M2 colon some 60, M3 colon some 55. Now I need to calculate the total. For which object? S1. Similarly for S2 also, There is one more object is there, students. S2 is on another object which contains number called a 20. 20. This is called a TR 45, 65, and then 58. This is S2. So S1 data, S2 data. Now I want to calculate the total. So the total is going to be what here? The total what we are calculating is related to which object only? S1. The total which I am calculating here related to S2 only. S1 total is totally not at all related to S2. S2 total is not at all related to S1. Both of them are going to be different. They are not going to be same. Correct? So S1 total and S2 total is different. So total, calculating total for all objects is considered as what? One operation, right? Calculating total for all the objects is called one operation. That operation will be performed by instance methods. So instance method is basically used to perform operations on the objects. Operations on the objects. So S1 contains the data 40, 60, 55. Whose total I want to calculate. This total is going to be totally different from S2. The total of S2 is totally different from S1. So these totals on an object, calculation on object is done by which methods? Incidence methods. So you take list methods you written, list functions you have learned, set functions you have learned. Next is called what? Dict functions you have learned. These are all related to what? Instance methods. 99% of the time, total functions of Python are belongs to instance. Only 1% functions are class level as well as static methods are present. So overall conclusion is what? Instance methods are meant for performing which operation? Object level operations. So object is containing some data. On the object, if you want to do any operation, we'll go for what? Instance methods. So one more example, if you look at L1 is equal to L1 is equal to the data 12, 34, 15, 18, some 9, and then something like, 15. This is my data. This is my data we have. So there I'm going to get it. Where I'm going to get it? Something like this. L1 is equal to 12, 34, and 15, 18, 9, and 15. These are called which data? Which data this is? L1 data. I want to sort this data. Which function we called it? L1 dot sort. This is only the simple point for you. So sort function is calling with respect to L1. So L1 is which data? Specific data. To perform the operation on this object, we are using what? Sort is known as what? Instance method in which class? List class. So any function calling with respect to object, that is known as instance method. So I'm writing here. I'm going to write it here. Don't take much time, students, because it is very easy for you. Instance methods are used for performing. Instance methods are used for performing 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 specific operations. Specific specific hmm, specific operations. Specific operations. Specific operations on what? Objects. And hence and hence instance methods are called which level methods? Object level methods. Object level methods we can call, because any type of operation to be done on object, we have to take straightforward which method? Instance method. So what is the syntax for defining instance method? Syntax. I'm going to write it. What is the syntax? Same. DAF Instance method name, instance method name, instance method name. I'm writing. In the bracket, I'm writing self comma. I will explain what is self. Don't worry. List of formal params. List of formal params, if any. There I'm writing students. Here I'm going to write it. Some statements I'm writing. Block of statements. So there I'm going to write it. Block of statements. Performs, performs specific operation, specific operations, and specify, specify instance data members, instance data members. There I'm going to show you the example for you. There I'm going to show you the example. And how we are calling this instance methods you have seen just now. How you are calling with respect to all the instance methods programmatically, programmatically, all instance methods, all instance methods must be accessed with respect to object name or self, self. Same. You, how do you do that? You see, L1 is called what? Object. How I am accessing this function? L1 dot. Here I want to calculate the total. How do I calculate S1 dot cal total? For example, we'll go for that. We will do that. Here also I will do S2 dot what? Cal total. Cal total. What is this cal total function will do? S1 data. What is the S1 dot cal total will do? S1 data. So how PVM knows it is doing on that very best example this is here. You know, students, you know, whenever an S1 is created, this is S1 object. All the students in the online must understand whose address will be there or not. Whose memory address will be there 123. This is also S2 students. S2. Whose address is what here? XCXX 145. What are these memory addresses? So if you want, I can write it. Whose memory address? Memory address. What is the memory address? XCXX123. Here, similarly, I will take it, students. Here I will take it. So here I am going to take it something like this. Memory address for the second object, I am going to take it. Here it is called what? 145, for example. Now, when you say S1 dot, when you say S1 dot and S1 dot cal total and S2 dot what? Cal total, what will happen, students? It is going to give you, it is going to give you, the conclusion is very simple. What is this now? S1 dot cal total, S2 dot cal total, S2. What will happen? I'll define the function. Here, be careful. Here I am writing DEF. What is the function name? Cal total. Same like that. We are writing something like this. We are saying here, what is this now? I'm writing M1 plus M1 plus M2 plus M3. Very critical point I'm saying. Try to understand. M1 plus M2 plus M3 is there in this place, is there in this place, right or not? How PVM knows that M1, M2, M3 belongs to this object? On what basis it can differentiate? On the basis of address. On the basis of address. On the basis of address. This is very, very important. So this address, the moment when you say S1 dot cal total, do you know what PVM will do, students? Cal total is calling with respect to S1. PVM will bring the address of S1. Address of S1 to what? Function definition. In the first parameter, you are holding the address of the first parameter. What is the address of this object? XCXX123 will be stored in where? First parameter. But the first positional parameter we are taking as a self. We are taking as a self. This is the one of the guidelines from the PSF. Self. So what self is containing? address of the object. So self is one of the first positional parameter which contains the current class object reference. Self is one of the positional parameter which contains the reference of the object. Reference means what? Memory address. So self is called what here? It is the copy of each address S1. So how you can call this M1? How you can call S1 self dot M1? Next is called what? Self dot M2. Next, how do you call it as? Self dot M3. So self is containing whose address? M1. It is S1. Yeah, of course, S1. How you can call this S1, M1, M2, M3 generally? S1 dot M1, S1 dot M2, S1 dot M3. All of them are what type? Instance type. You are calling self dot M1, self dot M2, self dot M3. So that I want to create one dynamic variable. If you want, you can take local variable TOT. If you want, you can take self dot TOT, you can write it. Self dot TOT, you can write it. Self dot TOT is also belongs to what now? Self dot TOT belongs to what now? Here only. It is the total result is going to come. Right or not? Similarly, go to next. S2 dot cal total. What will happen in this case? Cal total function called with respect to what? S2. S2 memory address is going to where? Self. So self is earlier contains what address? S1. Now self is containing whose address? S2 memory address 11145. Use self dot M1 means this address dot M1, this address dot M2, this address dot M3. But both of them are added. They kept into where? Self dot TOT. I hope it is clear. So what is the self here? What is the self here? Now close this. Self is one of the first positional parameter used as a first positional parameter in the instance method, which is containing reference of what? Current class object. Reference of current class object. Current class object is present here. And a self is a parameter to be used inside the same function body only. You cannot use it into other part of the program. Because positional parameters you can use in where? Same method body only we can use. We cannot access in where? Other part of the program. Did you understand this self now? Come on, whichever function is taking self, we call it as what? Instance method. Whichever method is taking self as a first parameter, we call it as which method? Instance method. Now I want to go for the instance method logic. Is it clear? So online students, is it clear what I said regarding the instance method? Why self? How to access the instance method with respect to what here? Method. With respect to what here? Object. With respect to object. What is the difference between method and function? Function to be accessed with respect to module name. Method name will be accessed with respect to object name. Functions are present into functional programming. Methods are present into where object oriented programming. Inside the class, if I write the function which we call it as a method. Without class, if I write a function, that is a functional aspect. It is only called a function name only. Understood that? Right. Very simple, students. Not a difficult. S1 dot cal total, S2 dot cal total. And whenever I call this, keep in mind S1 address is straightforward coming this. This entire thing is belongs to what? S1 related. When you say S2 dot, S2 address is kept into self. And this details are belongs to what? S2 only. Very important. What is self? They will ask. First one, self is one of the first positional parameter to be used in instance method. Second, self contains the reference of current object. Reference means what? Memory address. Third one is called what? Self to be used inside the corresponding method body only. Why method body? Because it is one of the positional parameter. We cannot access the self outside the function. We have to use inside the function body only. We cannot use as a part of the other part of the program. Shall I show you the example now? Right. Look at students in our program. All of you look at this kind of thing. I am reading the data for which object? S1. How many lines I wrote it? 3 lines. 3 lines. So, Archana, what is the difference between object and instance method? See, ma, this is a very what you are asking is completely out of order doubt. Object and then instance method. What is the use of object? To store the data. What is the use of instance method? To perform the operation. This is already done. Even I'm seeing first time you are doubt in the class. This is very long back we discussed it. What is the purpose of object? To store the data. Beginning onwards I'm talking. Instance method is used for performing what I said. Here I write it. Used to perform which operation? Specific operation on object. So data present in where? Object. And on the object to perform any operation, we use what? Instance method. So take care by yourself. So take care. Now we are going to access this by using object name dot. Object name dot. Which method? Instance method name. Instance method name. So, or we can also call it as self dot instance method name. Where to use this self related kind of thing? Inside the instance method to be used in, I'm writing here, I'm writing here, to be used in the bracket, I'm writing instance method. So here I'm writing instance method. This self to be used inside of, self to be used inside of which method? Instance method. Instance method. That's all. Instance method only we need to use. So here self. What is self also I will write it. First let me complete my task here. So here to read the data for S1 object, I wrote how many lines? 3 lines. To again to read the S2 data, 3 lines. If I go for 100 objects are there, 100 objects. 100 objects means how many times I have to write 3 lines? For one object to read the data, I wrote 3 lines. How many lines I have to write? Into 3 lines, 300 lines I have to write it. Is it a redundancy of the code or not? How do you eliminate the redundancy of the code? Through methods, through functions. That function I'm going to define today. So be careful. I'm rewriting this code of last class, what we discussed through methods. So first of all, previous knowledge logic is required. Instance method example 1 dot py. Instance method example 1 dot py. So there I am going to write it. So program for demonstrating instance method. So there I am writing class called what? Student. There I am writing pass, I will say pass. There I am writing the main program main program. S1 is equal to student of. Why are you creating the object here? To store the data. S2 is equal to what here? Student of. So S1 and S2 are containing what? Nothing now. No data present inside of it. Okay. And I want to print a memory address. Just for your understanding, I am saying. Already I printed this memory address of S1. In which method? Main program. Main program is equal to comma id of what? S1. Now you already understood S1 is containing like that. Memory address is also like this. Always projection is important. S2 is here XXX145. This projection is important. So try to print S2 also here. Try to print S2 also here. S2. After printing S2, you try to run. Both the memory addresses are coming here. So memory address is completely different. Now for S1, read the data for S1. This one you keep it assigned. Read the data for S1 object. Which data we are reading? Instance data. Object data is nothing but instance data. Last class only I said. How do you read? S1 dot read STUD data. I'm just writing like this. S1 dot L1 dot L1 dot copy, L1 dot sort, like that. It is known as what? Instance method. We are calling with respect to S1. How the PVM will execute? Read student data called with respect to S1. S1 is an object of student. PVM straightforward go to student by taking an address of S1. In this student, no function is available. So what should I do? You'll get error. Which error? Attribute error, you will get it. Attribute error will be coming. Attribute error. Student has no attribute called what? Read student data. So I need to read student data. How do you read student data? DEF. Come on. Read STUD data. Read STUD data of self automatically coming. I did not type the self. So here I am writing, colon pass I am writing. Then in this case, what is happening? Read student data function called with respect to S1. S1 is an object of student. PVM will go to the student class looking for read student data while carrying S1 address is kept into where self. So that self is containing S1 data. S1 data present over there. That data I want to read. That data I want to read. So how do you read the data now? I will remove that. S1 dot self dot SNO is equal to int of input of enter student number. Enter student number. Are you following? Self contains which object data? S1. Next, self dot name. S name is equal to input of, I'm writing there, enter student name, student name. Next, I'm writing self dot marks. I'm writing here is equal to float of student marks, float of student marks. Very simple, students, not a difficult. Float of enter student marks, student marks. So this is called what? Reading the data. S1 dot reading the data. Now students, before going to print this, now I'm going to write it. A small observation point I want to say. What is an observation point you observe? Here I am printing address of address of current object. Current object is equal to in method is equal to comma what? ID of what? Hmm. Self I need to write it. Self, that's all. So whatever address is coming here, same address will be printing here also. So it is proved that whatever address is there in the main program, same address is there for the current object. What is my current object? S1. So hence it is proved that self is containing what object? Current object memory address. There is a current object reference is present in where? Self. Self is not a keyword. Remember that. Some people are saying self is a keyword. Once it is a keyword, it should present in the keyword list or not? It should present in the keyword list. So I'm going to take it. Python here. Here I'm going to take it. Run as an administrator. So in this case, if you look at import keyword, import keyword as k dot kw list. So there is no such type of what keyword? There is no such type of keyword called as self. Happily, you can write it self. If I write it, if is equal to 23, error will come. Error, syntax error is coming. Syntax error is coming. If I write a self is equal to 34, happily that value will be printed. Self. So I'll write it self here, which is happily printing the result 34. So self is not a keyword. Keep in mind, some of the websites are trying to say self is a keyword. That's a blunder. So writing compulsory is writing is writing self compulsory. Only writing SNO will be the same. So I said already in the class, when you write M1, M2, M3, when you write M1, M2, M3, that are known as what? If I write only like that, self without self, M1, M2, M3 belongs to which object? There is a question mark. So we cannot write. All the instance data members, these are called object related. instance data member will be called with respect to object only. That's why we need to write what? Self compulsory. Very important. I think you verified that it is containing. Now I'm going to take up. This is going to be called what now? Self is written. Done. So S1 dot read student data. Is it reading the student data or not? Suppose if we pass any parameter called 10, 20, 30, what is happening? What is happening when it is going? PVM is carrying the class here. Address will be carried. S1 address kept in where? Self. These are the three arguments are passing. Those three arguments I will write it in where? Self comma A comma B comma C. A comma B comma C. What is happening? Here four are there. Generally you will feel it is a three only. But what is an extra here? S1 is going to kept into self. A, B, C will be kept into A to A, B to B, and C to C. I hope you are following me. Very, very important. Suppose if I don't pass any arguments, if I don't pass any arguments, it is like that. I need not write any parameters here. I think you got it. Next, go to the another kind of point. Read the student. One more thing. Read the object here. Read the data for what? S2. Read the data for S2. Again, you read the data for S2. Create what here? Memory address of S2. ID of S2. You want to keep it that entire thing. Once again here, you want to keep it. Here I am writing. So say again here, the statement is very simple. Here I'll write it. Print memory address of current object. Current object is equal to comma ID of what? Self. ID of self you write it. After this finished, you say this line. You say this line. Say what? S2 dot. What is the function name? Read student data. So how it will be differing now? S1 is going to be a main factor. S2 is a main factor. Just try to run this. You got it. Memory address of S1 in main program. It is entered into the function name and whose address is going to be same at that point of time. Second time memory address of S2 in main program. The current object is present in the self is called the same thing here. Are you following me? So depends on my object, that address is going to be changing because this is one of the most important point that you understood. I hope so. So here finally we got it. Remove the self. So we are reading the data. And here one parameter I want to pass. This is the data reading for what object? First object. This is the data reading for which object? Second object. So I want to pass even parameter also. First object like this I want to pass. String data. This entire thing I will keep it into where? Obj info. What is the obj info? Formal parameter which contains which data? Object info. Self is containing whose address S1. Very important. Here also I will write it what now? Second object. Second object. Here I will write it. So I will write it. I will write it. Or you can say first also no problem. First also no problem. Second also no problem. Here I am writing. Enter. I want to print what? First student number. What I will write it? Format of what? Where it is available? Obj info. Obj info. Dot format of what again? Or instead of writing these many times, you can simply say what you know, students. Like this, you can say where you can go to it here, enter, enter. I'll say first student details. First student details, you can say. And I'm trying to say one important aspect, student, try to get it. Try to get it. So here you need not to write it. Start understanding that. Start the details now. S1 dot first student details. It will go to this place. Enter dot format of what here? Obj info. Obj info. Start here. Now what is happening? How it is entering? I think you already understood. Once again, I am saying this data already set. S1 date address is kept into self. First is kept into this. You will be getting this message. So let us start taking for your better understanding, more clarity purpose. I am using like this. Start running this. So what is happening? Enter first student details. Whose address is this one? Say 100 and the name is called RS and then marks is called some 34.56 and second object address also. Second, are you seeing the second? There I am going to say 200. Now I am going to say Travis and marks is called 56.78. This is going to be reading part is over. Now I need to go for what? Display. I want to go for it. Display. I want to go for a display. So I read the data. Now I want to display my details. How do you display the details? I want to define one more function. How do you display the function now? Come on. Don't look at the definition now. Display STUD data of what? Self. Self automatically will come. Why self is coming? Which object data you want to display. That particular object address will be kept into where? Self. So I will print it. I'll print it like this. What I'm printing, carefully try to follow. Print of what I'm writing here. Student number. Student number I'm going to print it. Dot format of what? Self dot SNO. Self dot SNO. Now I'm writing print of what I want to get it. Student name, I want to print it. Student name also I want to print it. Student name, I'm going to say dot format of self dot. What is this now? Yes, name. Yes, name. Why I am calling self? Always it should be with respect to object only. That's the generally students will get the doubt related, but it is very simple. Here I am going to write it what student marks dot format of what self dot marks self dot marks. I hope that it is more clear. What I will do now? S1 dot display student data. You want to print that which object data like that? First I said S1 data present in where? Self. You are passing the parameter. So I need to write what here? Obj info. Obj info. You want to print the like earlier? I say something like object information. Object information. Dot format of what I will say? Obj info. Obj info. It is printing like that. So here I'm going to write it to print more clarity here. So here I will write it of 50 of 50. At the end of it, I will end this. Object data is getting printed. So here also, if you want 1 minute students, here also I will write it just only for a decorative purpose. That's all. Other than that, nothing is there students. Right, done. Now this kind of separation not necessary. Read the student data, display the student data. Now I'm writing here, display the display students information. Students information. Come on, how do you do that? S1 dot display student data of first. Next is called what again? S2 dot. S2 dot. I will write it here. S2 dot. What is this? I can write it. Second, I can write it. Are you able to follow? Online students, you need to go for reading. So come on here. Memory address of what? S1 dot. So enter student number here. And write RS. Next is called marks 34.56. Second object memory address is different. We are accessing it. Something like, number is called 200 and a TR and then 66.66. So I got it. Of course, I did not write format. I hope so. I did not write format function. So here, bracket I did not write. Empty curly brace I did not write it. Empty curly brace I need to write it. So try to run it once again. So 100 TR and say some 33.33 and 200, and next is called TR. So RS. Now go to the 55.55. So you got it. First object data, second object data. Getting or not? This is related to the concept of what? How we are calling the instance methods with respect to what? Object. With respect to object, I'm calling. In this place, you see instance method. I mentioned the instance data members or not? How I mentioned the instance data members with respect to what? Hmm. Self. Self-related data members are taken inside the instance method. If we go to my program, if I go to my syntax, in this place of instance method, I mentioned instance data members and I mentioned what? Operational drive. Printing the data also done. How I am calling with respect to object name dot. And we are supposed to call next self dot I want to call it. I hope this is more clear. Clear? Huh? Next, I want to go for one more example. This is a memory address only for your understanding. I mentioned it. Only for your understanding, I mentioned it. Now I'm going to take up the same thing. Instance method example 2, I want to tell. Instance method example 2. What is that instance method example 2? With a self, I want to call it. With a self, I want to call it. What I'm doing there, you come to this place. Here I am writing. Here I am writing. The moment when you call the data, immediately I want to display. Earlier, what is happening? First, both the objects I read. How both the objects I read? Enter the number 100, RS, and 34.56. Here, what is happening? Immediately, I want to display the first object data. But here, what is happening? After reading second object data, both of them are displayed. But today, what I want? After reading this data, immediately the data I want to display. After reading second object data, later I want to display second object details. But here after reading both the details, it is displaying the data. But both of them I don't want. One at a time I want to display. Are you following? For that purpose, you are saying S1 dot go to this place. S1 dot read student data. Here I am going to write it. S1 dot what you are writing? Display data immediately. Here what I am doing? Read and display. Read and display. Read instance data for S1 object and display. Here also and display. So there I will read the data S2 dot read, S2 dot display, both of them. Following up, read that and display. Enter first object data 1000. Something like Dennis. I say 44.44. Immediately the data will be displayed. First object data, it is displayed. Next second object data I'm reading. What is this now? 2000. Richie, I'm going to write it. There I'm writing. So here I'm writing 22.22. So the second object data is displayed. This is one more fashion. Are you following? How I called with respect to object dot object dot. How this mechanism of passing S1 data pass to whom? Self. And first is pass to whom? OBJ info. So don't think that two parameters here. Where is the two parameters here? This is a major difficulty student will face it. Always S1 is going to be come to itself. Getting on? Right. This is called a 2. 3 I am going to pass it. 3. Another program I am going to tell you. The same methodology in another way. 3.py. 3.py. Only coming today without attending previous classes. It's difficult to understand this class. So 3.py. 3.py. Here I'm going to take it. Here I'm writing S1 dot read student data. This I don't call today. What will happen? Be careful. S1 dot read student data. It will come to this place. It is read. After that, from the same method only, I want to call which method? Display method I want to call. How do you call it? Generally in the previously I called with respect to what? S1 dot reading, S1 dot display. But here what I want to do? I want to do what here? Self dot S1 dot reading. S1 address is kept in where? Self. Now I want to call this method. How do you call it? Self dot display student data. This is called what? Calling instance method with respect to self. I think you are following me. And that too, I will pass what? Obj info. Obj info. I think you are following me. This is a very important. This is what I mentioned in my syntax. Self dot instance method. Self to be used inside the instance method only. You cannot use it into other places. Try to run this example. Perfect. 2000. Say RS. So 23.45. Got it. First update information. Second update 2001. Say TR. Let's say 55.55. Got the data. So I think you are understanding. So how many ways are there to call the instance method? Two ways. One is by using object name. One more by using self dot. Self to be used only inside of corresponding method body. Dear students, in place of self, you can use any parameter name. No need to write only self. I will write KVR. No problem that time. That time I can write it what? KVR dot, KVR dot, KVR dot, KVR dot. Whatever the first parameter you will write it, that is comes under what? And containing the address of my object. But international rule of Python says that use a self. So everybody will understand that it contains current update date. Try to run it, say no problem, 100 RS, so 3.4, got it. Next time writing to 300, so TR, and say 4.6, got the data. Understood? So is it mandatory to write the name as self always? No, we can write our own name also. Our own name is nothing but like this. But actual internationalization rule says that everybody is recommended to write the first parameter of instance method is self to be written. So I'm going to take back to self only. I'm going to take back to self only. I think you are understanding this. Fine. This is related to instance method. We'll do another example. Let me go for class level method also now. Class level method also I want to tell you. Look at students, class level method also I want to go for it. Is it understandable now? Class level method I am going to take up. So what is the use of class level method? It will provide class level data members. Class level data members means what? Providing the class level data member to all the objects of same class. As I said you already, class level data members are common values we store it. Same thing, class level method also used for class level object operation. Suppose you are all my objects of what? Python. So what I am doing is a common operation for all my objects of Python class. So what is my operations are called? Common operations for all objects of my class. It is known as which level method? Which level method? Class level method we can call. So class level methods are used for performing. I'm writing class level methods are used for performing or used for performing common operations. Common operations for all objects of operations for all the objects of for all objects of which class? Same class. Or instead of same class, corresponding class I can write it. Corresponding class. I hope you are following me. So class level methods are used for performing common operations for all the objects of each class, corresponding class. So common operations means what? They will provide a class level operation, class level data members they will provide. So one way to provide the class level data members is what? Like already we discussed in the last class, we providing like this. We can provide the same type of data members through which method? Class level method also you can use it. So now I am going to write it. You one thing students, you can go like this. Happily you can go like this because I already written syntax for defining a class. You take it inside the class. You can mention what class level data members. Otherwise, class level method you can provide the specified the class level data members also. So prefer class level data members easy way. So you want to provide through method, you go for a class level method. So how do you define that? Now I'm going to enter into the example part. Let us move to the example part. Class level method I am going to talk. Class level method I am going to talk. Example 1.py. Class level method example 1.py. So there I am writing program for providing or program for demonstrating class level data members. Class level data members. So how do I provide it? Class student. Here I am writing. Generally, if I define a method, get CRS details, I am writing. Get CRS details, I am writing. Here what is coming? Self is coming. Which method? But I want to write which method? For that, we are supposed to write, remove this, remove that. To make the method as class level method, to make the PVM to understand the class level method, one decorator is required, just like an ID of the method. Decorator means what? Which will provide some additional processing capability to the methods. So at the rate, you need, this is a syntax notation, class method. Any method you want to write instance method, no need to write anything, simply method name and self you will write it. To make the method as which level method, you have to write one special tag, special description you have to write it. At the rate class method, DEF, what should I write it? Get what details? CRS details. The moment when you open the bracket, CLS will come automatically. Only opening bracket I said. CLS is coming automatically. Need not write CLS. This indicates it is a class level data member, class level method. How can the PVM understand it is a class level method? You have to use one decorator word called what? At the rate class method. This is the tag for what? Class level method. How you know that you are a doctor? Having some stethoscope, some dressing is required. That is known as what? Doctor they will fill. Patient. Patient is having separate dressing will be there. Something like that, any method is instance method. You need to have certain type of what? Decorator is required. Are you following this? So there I need to write this CLS contains class name. All the class level data members must be accessed with respect to what last class only said, class name. That class name is present into CLS. So CLS contains CLS dot what? CRS is equal to Python. Python. You can also write happily what? You can write or what you can write it? Student dot CRS is equal to Python. You can write happily. This is also you can write it. CLS not what city is equal to what again here HYD. So this is also can be written as what student dot what city is equal to what here HYD. Like this also you can write it. Okay, close. This is called which method? Class level method. How do you write the class level method? Need to be preceded with a decorator called what? At the rate class method. So main program I am writing. Main program. How you access class level data members earlier? ఇక్కడ చూడండి ఎలా యాక్సెస్ చేసాము క్లాస్ నేమ్ డాట్ yesterday's Saturday class. Today we are accessing with respect to what I am accessing class level method. Class level method must be accessed with respect to class name only. How do I access? Easy. Student dot. What is this now? Get course details. What happens? How this is working? Tell me. Get course details called by PVM. PVM is going to the student class, looking for what? Method called get CRS details. CRS details is going to contain the parameter called what? CLS. That means student is present in the CLS. Earlier, what happened? S1 dot get to student details. S1 is an object whose address present in where? Self. Compulsory question. What CLS contains? What self contains? CLS contains current class name. Self contains what? Current class object. Very, very important. In Python, whoops knowing students is zero. Outside, you take it. Even in the same institute, students, you take it. They don't know whoops. Because whoops are complicated. People will feel, but they're dead easy. So CLS contains what? Our current class name. What is my current class name? Student. So CLS dot means student dot. CLS dot means student dot. If we go for self dot means current class name, current class object. What is my current class object? S1. Both of them are what? First positional parameter. In place of CLS, no need to write CLS as CLS only. I can write my name also. But for internationalization rules, what they took it for current class name CLS, for current class object purpose, they went for what? That's all. Other than that, nothing is available. I hope you are following me. So student dot get a CRS details. So now see students, I will print them. Once you are activating, they are allocating the memory space one time. Sir, how do you print it now? Print of, how do you print student course? How do you print now? How do you print now? Come on, course. What is the course here? What is the course here? Class level data member. How do you call it? Student dot CRS. Student dot CRS. How do you print it here? Student city. Student city. Student city. So I'll write it like this. Try to run this now. You are getting like this. Are you following me? Done. Suppose if you write only, if suppose if you try to write CLS error, CLS is error, red underline. Why CLS is a red underline? Because they are called positional parameters. You cannot access that parameters outside. See students, error, CLS is not defined. Line number what? In this place, line number is called 11, you cannot access. In the 11th line, you cannot access. Are you able to follow students? Dead easy, not a difficult at all. Very simple thing. Understand? So you have to write it. If you want to print this data, one more kind of method I will define. Which method I want to define? One more class method only. At the rate class method, at the rate class method, I will write it. Display, DEF, display which date course details, CRS details, CRS details. See students, print of what? Tell me now. Student course, student course. I am going to write it is equal to dot format of what? Tell me. CLS dot CRS. Next I will write it. Student what again? City. Student city. This is called student city. I'm writing. What this is known as city dot city here. Are you following me? Try to run this now. How do you call it now again? Student dot display like this. Execute, execute now. Am I getting the data or not? Like this. One more way you can call it. How do you call it? Be careful. 2.py, 2.py. Here I am writing 2.py. Call it. Here I am going to write it. Class level method 1. Copy this entire thing in this place. Once you are calling, you call it. From here, I want to call it. From here. Class level method is calling another class level method. How I am calling? Student dot you can call. Execute. Perfect answer is coming. In place of student, what I can write it? CLS. In place of that, we can write what? CLS. Simple. Easy or not difficult? Easy. Dead easy. What is a CLS? Contains current class name. Clear or not clear? So class level methods we are calling. Now, one more thing I want to take it. Difficult example. Method 3. This is my example, no? This is my example. There I want to write it what? Course and city I want to provide. For the combined example I am giving. Instance plus class level method. Online students, are you following? Are you following, students, all of you? Is it clear for everybody? Is this examples are getting confused? So if you practiced well, this is not a big deal. It's a very simple. So here, coming to the point of it. Instance method example 3 I am going for. This place I am going to provide class level method again. What is the class level method? Take a new one, you take it. Take a new one. So I'm taking class level instance method example.py example.py. So I'm going to write it. Instance method 3 I am taking, students. Instance method 3 I am taking. Not a difficult. Same thing I am taking here. I'll post it. Plus, I want to post it here. Tell me, at the rate, which method? Class method. Class method. What is this now? DEF. Get the CRS details of CLS. CLS dot what? CRS is equal to Python. One is enough. What is this method is called here? Which method it is? Class level method. What is this method is called? What is this method is called? Instance method 1. Instance method 1. What is this also called? Instance method 2. Are you following me? So I want to print here. Which details I want to print? Which details I want to print? Student, student, course. Student course I want to print is equal to dot format of what? How do you call it? This one I want to call CRS. How do you call it? Always remember student dot CRS. Student dot CRS. Are you following me? Be careful. Will it run or giving any error? Giving running or error? Running or error? It will give you error. Why? Because you are printing student.crs. You are calling only read and display of instance methods, but you did not call what? Get CRS details anywhere. Anywhere you did not call. So see that anyhow you say details you enter 10 RS. See the error now. So you are getting here you are getting type object has no attribute called what? CRS. Memory space for CRS not created. What to do? Here I will call the moment when it is completed, the moment when you complete this place, what I will do immediately in this place, either in the main program or in this program, when you are going to, before going to use it, you can call which method? Which method? Get CRS. What is the get CRS method? Class level method. How do you call it? Class name. So in the display place, I will call it as what? Student dot what? Get a CRS details. What is this now? Calling which method? Calling which method? Class level method. Class level method. Execute now. Simple, students. 100 RS 34.56. Got the data or not? Python. Enter the second student details. 400 KVR 11.11. Am I getting the data or not? This is called a one way. This is called a one way. Can I call with respect to CLS here? No. Why? CLS is a formal parameter in this place only. You cannot call CLS dot, you cannot call. Because CLS is a formal parameter in the method. You cannot access the formal parameters in other part of the program. In the methods only we said. Are you following me? So Not only in this place you can call students, here also you can call. Before, in this instance method also you are calling, and you are calling the self dot. Anywhere else you can call it. 100 RS 5.6 got the data Python, and 200, and this is RS or something like TR, let's say 5.9, I got 5.9. Is it clear? Got the data? Understood? Huh? Well, so I think students, this is a more important information. Calling class level method with respect to what I am calling, class name I am calling. Calling this method with respect to what? Self. That is to be called with a self only. Are you following? This is related to class level method. I just want to show you one small description for you students. So I want to go for, oops, under the classes, types of methods I want to show you. So let us take three methods. Already written it. Instance methods performing specific operations on object. They are called object level. Syntax method is definition. Self, list of formal parameters. Specific instance data members perform specific operation. Instance methods must be accessed with respect to object name or what? Self. What is a self? Here I am giving. What is a self? Self is one of the implicit object, and it contains address. That is nothing but what? Reference of current object. Self to be used as what? First formal parameter in instance method. In instance method. Understand? Self to be used as a first position parameter. Since self is the first positional parameter, so that it can access inside the corresponding instance method definition only, but not possible to access in other part of the program. Did you understand this self? Right? This is a very important. Here I already mentioned it. In this place, self is written here. I think it is more clear. Are you following, students? So is the self is clear for you? Right. Similarly, class level method also, students. Go to the class level method here. Go to the class level method here. Very, very easy, not a difficult. So here I'm going to take it. Classes concept. Types of methods you take it. Of course, same thing only. Here it is going to be self at the rate. Specify the class level data member to be accessed with respect to what? Class name dot class level data members. And if at all you want to use it, this I will carry it. I will just try to mention it in our place. Here I am writing. So here I am writing. Written here, class level method. Here you can access CLS dot what? Which level method? Class level method name. Class level method name to be used in, to be used inside of which method? Class level method only. Class level method only. If at all you want to use any CLS, that is to be used in the class level method only, but not to be in other place. What is CLS? One of the implicit object. It contains current class name. CLS always to be used as first formal parameter in a class level method. Since CLS is a formal parameter, so that it can contain, it can access inside the corresponding level method definition only, but not possible to access in other part of the program. Is it clear? So let us go for one small example again. Online students, this instance method, class level method, one example I want to go for it. Look at all of you. This is one thing. Let me go to the another example here. For example, a small example, I will take it. Circle, I'm going to write it. Circle area dot py. Circle area dot py. Where I'm going to write the program. So what is the class circle will do? Class circle. What is the circle should contain? Data members, methods. What are the data members? Radius. చూసుకోండి సరే. Have a have a diagram. Circle is a class. Data members required, methods required. What are the data members? R PI. pi. R is instance, pi is the class level because it's the common. And here I will write what? Get radius. Get radius. Next is called what function I will take? Area function. I will take this. This is my functions. A class is a collection of data members and methods. So I will plan for my class. What should I do? Pi is equal to what? 3.14 class level data member. DEF get radius self dot what? R is equal to float of input of enter radius enter radius enter radius. Now I will go for what? Finished. So one more function I will define calculate area. What I will do? Self dot AC is equal to self dot what? R star star 2. And what I will write it? What I'll write it? Circle dot pi star. What is pi? Class level data member. How do I access class level data member? With respect to class name. How do I access instance data member? Self dot R. This is my class. Class is always nothing but a specification. Now ready to use now main program. Create an object of what? C is equal to what I say? Circle of. C is equal to circle of. What this is now? Object creation. What I will do now? C dot. What is this now? Get radius. Get radius means it will go to how it is calling. Get radius method called with respect to C. C is an object of circle. Straightforward PVM goes to circle. Looking for get radius. C address is kept into where? Self. Self dot R. R is present into where? C. C is an object. R contains the value which I read. Done. So with this is a picture. X, 1, 2, 3. Next I'll write what? C dot what? Cal area. Cal area. Cal area function called with respect to what? C. C is an object of what again? Circle. It will go to circle. Looking for cal area. C is containing what? Self is placed. Already self contains address na? Circle dot pi 3.14. Self dot R is going to contain some value or not? That value star pi r square, and that I will print it. Here I will print it. Print of area of circle is equal to, I'll write it, dot format of self dot AC. I will run this code. See this now. Radius 1.2, 1.2. Of course, I did not call C dot, C dot what? Cal area. You execute it. 1.2, 0.2 I entered, got this. You execute once again, 1.4, got the answer. Are you getting me? So this is one thing. Suppose student, if we want to provide this class level data member through method, are you following me? Through method, how do you do? At the rate, what is this now? Class method, DEF, get pi, CLS dot pi is equal to 3.14 class level method, instance method. How do you do? Get cal area, circle dot py, you will get error. 1.2 got an error. An object of circle has no called what? Pi. So before pi availability, I need to call which one? Get pi. Happily I can go for what? Here I will write it. How do you call it? Come on. Circle dot get pi. Get pi. So that circle dot pi you can call it. Happy. You execute it. Done. 3.4 got the answer. Are you following me? It's not only necessary to call over there. You can call where? Before going to execute that, you can call like this. You can call like that. Before calculating area, you need to make the pi to be available. You can execute. So 1.2 got the answer. Nobody knows oops. Take anybody in this place who are roaming on the road. They don't know oops. They know little bit Python into float and roaming, and they are feeling that they know Python. Actually, when you go to data science as on today, people are going out of order in Hyderabad, first of all, because they don't know oops. Python coding zero. But when you learn data science with a full-fledged practical environment they are teaching, but especially data science when you are learning, don't learn from Hyderabad. This is my advice. Learn from some different place like Bangalore related. Because the people are supposed to teach the full coding. But here, what is happening in Hyderabad is they're just talking about what, only theory they are explaining. That is the main drawback students are getting it. You make it one thing granted. So this is the one I wrote it. I think you are following me. You can call here also, you can call. See students, here you can call it. So what you can do here, circle dot. What is this now? Here in this place you can call. How do you write it? I think 1 minute. This spot you cut it. In this place you call it. See, wherever I like it, I am calling my class level method. Okay. So having 3.4, got the answer. So once we have good hairstyle, you can comb anywhere. No hairstyle means no whoops means you are whoops. People don't know what is the syntax of class. You take just to test it, I said already to you. Are you okay? Online students, are you following me? Is it clear? And no need to write self here, for example. Local variable you take it, no issue. Local variable you take it. Local variable you take it. Are you following me? Local variable you take it. Because I'm printing there only, na. I'm printing there only, na. Understand? Suppose you want to access, you want to calculating this thing. For example, you want to access. This you keep it aside. Now I'm going to say C dot what C dot display. Display something like this. What is the display? Display is not there. How I will display? Display of what? Self. Display of self. Now I want to print. What is this now? Radius. Now I'm printing. Radius is equal to dot format of what? Self dot R. Next I'm going to write it. Circle area. Circle area is equal to dot format of what I'm writing? AC. If I write error, AC is a local variable now. You cannot access. You cannot access. Try to run it, students. You got it. 1.2. You got an error. What is that error? AC is not defined. In line number where? In line number 14. 14 error. Why? This is a local variable. How do you make it to be accessible to everywhere? I will make this as a I'll make this as a self.ac. Once you make it self.ac, C is going to be containing empty here. When you read it, C is containing what? R. When you make it available, this is C is going to contain R and what? AC. When you say C.display contains both of them. How do I access here? Self dot. Self.ac. Beautiful. Run this code. Super. 3.4. Perfect. Getting or not? Easy or difficult? Easy. This is one thing. This is one thing. Sir, this is one thing. You want to go for one more example. So another way I'm going to show. These are all called coding. Full functions concept, area 1.py. So try to take it the same mechanism. Here I'm going to write it. Here. Suppose this is a local variable only, student. Local variable only this is. So local variable, definitely it is not going to possible to access. Display. What to do now? Here. Now I want to access. This will give you error. So what is this now? 1.3 error. AC is not defined. Then how do you manage? Now I want the answer. What you will do? Hmm? Global. Global in the irrelevant answer. మీకు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయట్లేదు మీరు. యు ఆర్ నాట్ ప్రాక్టీసింగ్. If I am student, I'll say, sir, return the local value, I will say. Why return statement is coming? Local variable I want to access outside the program. To access the local value outside the program, return statement, no? వద్దు బాబులు. Return AC. Return AC. Local variable value I am returning. What type of method it is? Calculate area. Calculate area. When you say calculate area, what is happening? It is returning the value. It is returning the value. Left side I will write what? X. So X contains what? AC value. AC value. That X you pass to whom? Display. Display. Here I will take it as what? AC. That AC is containing X. This AC placed in X. That AC placed over there. Super. So 5.6. Sending the value, receiving the value, passing as a positional arguments. These are all functions topic. Chanka, I want ultimate coding. These are ultimate coding. Sir, I don't want this one. I don't want. See, display directly. Display, remove, display. Get radius, and this you remove. This you remove directly. This circle area. In this place, what I will do? I will directly call it as what? This function you call it. What is the function name? Cal area. Of which type? Instance type. Self dot cal area. Wonderful. Inside of that, I'm passing the calling the function. What a super logic. 1.2 ultimate. మీకు కొన్ని అర్థం అవ్వదు because you can't understand certain things because they are called what? God given gift. Once you practice well, you will get. సార్ మనకెందుకు సార్ ఇదంతా? చాలా సింపుల్గా వెళ్దాం మనం. సో గో ఫర్ వాట్? Self dot what? Cal area. Put it into what? X. Print what here? X. Self dot cal area. Already you know how to call the instance method. X. X I am printing. 5.6. Got the answer. Coding ante gem undali. Coding means gem. Here coding in Hyderabad, they will teach what? Simple, 1 or 2 lines. That's why students are getting problem. So teacher is very important. Without having the programming knowledge, it's very difficult. What is here? AC is called local variable. What is X is called local variable. Understood? This is about concept of what? Class level method. Class level method. Tomorrow class I will give you what? Tomorrow I will go for giving. Tomorrow at 7:20 sharp. 7:20 sharp. I'll go for what? We'll go for this kind of example. I'll post this now. Shiva, you are jump sir. Okay. Thank you. So I'm not jump. I want to give good knowledge to my students. That is my intention. That's all. Rather than giving away knowledge which is given by others, you take your HTML, you take your JavaScript. Suppose JavaScript you learn. If I tell the JavaScript, you will feel that what the JavaScript they taught is only 0.00000000024 50 zeros 1. They will explain only A, B, C, D 4 letters. They don't go for even out of 26, 13 letters also they don't go. The main, because anybody coming newly to the teaching, na, they are showing, disturbing the students. I observed it carefully. I observed 10 members, 10 members, 10 members out of 10 members waste. So take care. And this is the main thing. They don't know English. They don't know the order of presentation. Whatever they like it, they are presenting. Doing fun in the class, making the students to fun. And you people are enjoying the fun with the teacher. Once we enter into the class, we have to go forward. Full subject. Correct or not? So coming to the point of it. Now, Shravani, sir, what is the good news? Okay, good news is becoming a good news only. So, anyhow, ma'am, so carefully read. And this class level method, are you following me? Common values providing is done by class level method. Specific values carried by what? Instance method. So only two concepts I explained. It took that much time, right? So static method, I can say only instance method, only one method is present, but I don't want to say student, sir. Go to the place, students. One thing you see, go to this place. For example, L is equal to L1 is equal to list of. Just to see L1 dot append of. Student, append of. What is this self contains? L1 address present in where? Self. Whatever the value I am writing append, that is going to be as a what? Data. This is called self comma list of formal parameters. ఇంకొకటి L1 dot copy. L1 address is present in where? Self. No more data is passing. Already we learned now. So total library of Python developed with what? Oops. We are telling about internals of Python. That is subject. That is subject. So like that you need to. Shravani, nobody explain like you, sir. Okay, ma, take. Thank you. And that difference we have to show clearly in the class. So coming to the point of it. So I will stop my class. Tomorrow class when I come back, I will go for which method? Static methods, I will go for it. And I'll tell you tomorrow, database communication, I will tell you. Database, with the whoops, I want to communicate with the database. With the whoops, I want to tell you files, pickling and unpickling, I want to tell. Completely whoops. Whoops with the pickling, whoops with the database, whoops with the modules also I want to tell you. So that whoops makes others to whoops. If you don't know whoops, they will whoops you. That's why whoops is very important to whoop somebody. You must know whoops strongly. Understand? That's why student. Shravani, please take Django classes, sir. Okay. So now coming to the point of it. Now I'll stop my class. Now time is 8:49, 8:50. See students, here I'll make you whatever subject is allotted for me, I'll make it wonderful. That is my responsibility. Okay, right. So thank you, students. All the best. Don't miss tomorrow class. Thank you, guys. All the best. Online students, any more doubts, my dear students? Having any more doubts? Any more doubts? If you have, you can raise your hands. Okay, students. So there is no hand raising symbol. I will go for uploading these notes. Take care. All the best.